Late in the third quarter, you guys were struggling offensively in that frame. Second half in general didn't feel the same as the first half on that end. Did something change for you guys? What did you see as kind of leading to stalling on that end?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of slow, and every time that we're slow, especially defensively, it just.
Sophie Cunningham didn't hold back after this one, and why would she? The Fever let a winnable game slip away, falling 88-84 to a Mystics team sitting at the bottom of the standings. Indiana had it in the bag, up double digits and fully in control at halftime, until Washington stormed back with a brutal 22-7 run that flipped the entire script with playoff positioning on the line. That collapse dropped the Fever to 7th place, and Sophie's fiery post-game comments made it clear she wasn't here to sugarcoat, especially when compared to Stephanie White's soft excuses. Indiana had built a 13-point cushion in the second quarter, leading 40-27, a margin that should have crushed Washington's spirit, but instead, it evaporated in minutes as the Mystics lit up the floor, shooting over 52% and draining clutch threes while Indiana's offense froze as if they'd forgotten how to play. So, who do you blame for this meltdown? Was it the players or the coach? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is about to get
something
heated.
Like a 22-7 run, the end of the second, beginning of the third quarter. And those are hard to recover from when anytime really, but when you're missing pieces. And we've got to make sure that we're sharper at times. We don't have the margin to have lulls within quarters. And then I believe they had something like 21 points from free throw line and turnovers of their 26 in the fourth. And we control that defending without fouling. We control that taking care of the basketball. Decision making at times, and some of it's playing some people out of position, and some of it's just not being valuing the basketball in the way that we need to value.
The building fell silent as the momentum flipped before everyone's eyes. And let's be real, this wasn't some superstar takeover by Washington, it was the Fever beating themselves. Turnovers piled up, defensive lapses stacked higher, and suddenly it turned into a highlight reel for the Mystics at the free throw line, with Indiana racking up 21 fouls that handed Washington 26 shots at the stripe. Every sloppy pass, every lazy rotation, and every careless foul chipped away at their cushion until it was gone, leaving the Fever scrambling to survive. Make no mistake, this wasn't about officiating. The scoreboard collapsed because Indiana sabotaged itself with mistake after mistake. They had the game in control until they gave it away. And the sting hit harder because it wasn't seasoned vets taking over, it was Washington's fearless rookies putting on a show.
Here is the Buckeye product on a backdoor pass, but Mitchell lost the handle. Sutton thought about the three, steps in, Hull got a piece. Dolson has been wide open all possession, splashes home a three. And
Sonia Catron looked like a 10-year vet as she calmly dropped 21 points. While Kiki Iriafen went beast mode with 18 points and 12 boards, ripping away second chances in the paint like she owned it, each rebound another dagger in Indiana's chest. That wasn't empty production. It was proof that once the Fever stopped dictating the pace, even a team still finding its identity could walk in and steal a win. Now stuck in 7th place with playoff hopes hanging by a thread, letting two rookies dismantle their cushion is the kind of blunder that keeps coaches awake at night. And make no mistake, Indiana had strong individual efforts, with Aaliyah Boston bullying her way to 20 points and 9 rebounds, Kelsey Mitchell setting the tone early, Sophie Cunningham bringing raw energy, and Lexi Hull hustling relentlessly on defense. The Stars didn't fold, but somehow the Fever still let it slip right through their hands.
Indiana has eight first quarter bench points. That's typically been a strength when they're playing well, as Iriafen just bullies her way inside. Now Citron being guarded by Lexi Hull. Hull goes over the screen, defends her really well. Citron just has to
which makes the collapse sting even worse, because it wasn't about effort, it was about leadership and direction. The Fever didn't lose because Washington was superior. They lost because they handed away possessions, let the Mystics control the tempo, and had no counter once the tide turned. It's the same brutal pattern that has haunted them all season, strong stretches vanishing into completely preventable collapses. Every time they seem ready to take a step forward, sloppy mistakes and a lack of adjustments drag them right back down. And at this stage of the season, with the playoff race tightening by the day, those late-game meltdowns sting 10 times more. The pressing question remains, why was there no plan to protect the lead once it started slipping away?
Cunningham feeds Sims who goes coast to coast and lays it in. So
They had to make sure they had the right shot clock time as well while they were reviewing that.
So Indiana with a 10-point lead here. 6 minutes until halftime as Boston finds some space and knocks it down. Now Sims launches ahead for Mitchell. What a pass by out of...
Everyone in the arena felt the momentum shift, and the question hung in the air. Who was supposed to steady the ship, make the smart rotations, or call the counter that stopped the bleeding? Fans already had their answer, with frustration boiling over and Stephanie White's decisions taking center stage. Nothing fueled that outrage more than Chloe Bibby's complete disappearance. Shooting 42% from deep this season, she somehow logged 0 minutes in a game where Indiana's spacing collapsed and the perimeter froze cold. Benching one of your most reliable shooters on a night you desperately needed floor spacing made no sense, and White's explanation, that it came down to defensive matchups and rebounding concerns against Washington's size, only poured more fuel on the fire.
Finds Mitchell, launches a corner three. It won't go. Rebound Aichler. And this young Washington Mystics group who continues to impress throughout this season. And Sidney Johnson in his first year comes up with...
hit hard. Indiana still sent Washington to the line for 26 free throws, still left shooters wide open, and still watched Kiki Iriafen dominate inside without resistance. So what exactly was protected? Fans aren't buying the excuse, because the defensive breakdowns happened anyway while the one player who could have stretched the floor never even got a chance. Instead of answers, they're left questioning why a proven shooter stayed glued to the bench, and White's own admission only poured gasoline on the fire. She confessed that the offense stalled too often, collapsing into the same predictable plan: give Kelsey Mitchell the ball and pray she fights through 2 defenders. That's not strategy, that's surrender. And that one line, already spreading as the rallying cry of the night, captured perfectly what everyone in the arena saw with their own eyes.
With their work cut out for them here. 6-point deficit, just over 5 minutes left to play. Mitchell, feed inside. There's an easy 2 for Boston. Cunningham leans in. Thought she drew the foul. Boston pulls down the rebound and lays it in.
The Fever's offense fell into the same stale isolation sets, and when that happens, the adjustment is obvious. Space the floor, unleash shooters, and give your stars room to operate. Instead, Indiana kept funneling everything through Kelsey Mitchell until the offense finally cracked under the weight. The stats paint the picture. Mitchell went 6-for-9 with 14 points and 9 assists, battling like a warrior while forced to play both scorer and facilitator. But even the best can't carry that kind of dual burden forever. Down the stretch, the pattern never changed. Mitchell driving into traffic, forcing shots against 2 or 3 defenders, while shooters stood frozen on the perimeter like unused pieces on a chessboard. It wasn't just predictable, it was self-sabotage, a collapse born from ignoring the very weapons sitting idle on the bench.
What a pass by Melvin, too. Really nice.
Mitchell turns on the Jets and gets to the rim.
No one can keep Kemper is one of the best rebounders out of her area, which means the ball not directly above her head as Cunningham with a steal.
Cunningham feeds Sims, who goes coast to coast and lays it in.
Nobody's blaming Kelsey Mitchell's decision-making. She fought through relentless pressure like a pro. But once Washington packed the paint, Indiana's system collapsed into a clogged, predictable mess with zero creativity. That's what eats at fans. Not just the loss, but the self-sabotage. This roster has legit shooters, veterans who scrap for every possession, and a cornerstone in Aaliyah Boston who provides a steady anchor inside, yet instead of unleashing those weapons, the rotations and play calls box them in. Washington didn't win with superstar heroics. They simply capitalized on Indiana's painful predictability. Every possession became easier to read than the last, and the Mystics looked like the ones in control without needing anything flashy. That's why the heat isn't falling on the players. It's falling squarely on the strategy.
At times, our off-ball movement wasn't there. We did a lot of standing. It's almost like we gave the ball to Kelsey and just tried to watch her work. And that's not when we're at our best. I mean, yes, certainly we want to have the ball in our hands, but we've got to continue to get movement with and without the basketball. It was getting stuck. I mean, we want to play 0.5 to 1 second basketball, and we weren't. It's
4 quick ones stand out for Indiana. The roster bled for this game, leaving everything on the floor, while questionable coaching decisions dragged them down at the very moment execution mattered most. That brutal contrast is exactly why the outrage is boiling over tonight. You can debate the rotations endlessly, but what you can't deny is how hard the players fought to keep this from slipping away. They refused to roll over, and even as momentum swung against them, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, and Odyssey Sims all delivered the kind of grit and production that usually seals a win. Boston was a dominant force inside, dropping 20 points and grabbing 9 rebounds, pulling Washington's defense into the paint every single time she touched the ball.
Late in the third quarter, you guys were struggling offensively in that frame. Second half in general didn't feel the same as the first half on that end. Did something change for you guys? What did you see as kind of leading to stalling on that end?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of slow. And every time that we're slow, especially defensively.
Kelsey Mitchell carried the dual role of scorer and floor general, posting 14 points and 9 assists, but even those numbers don't capture the weight she shouldered once the offense completely froze. Sophie Cunningham's 8 points came with an even bigger impact. 6 assists, 3 steals, and the signature play of the night when she picked off a pass and buried a cold-blooded 3 in transition. Odyssey Sims, barely 2 games into her hardship contract, showed zero fear, dropping 11 points, attacking every defender in sight, and providing the closest thing to a true point guard this roster has right now. That kind of spark straight off the street is rare, and the context makes it even wilder. This team isn't just patching holes, they're missing their entire backcourt foundation.